Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So on November 10th, the Booker Prize winner will be announced and I wanted to try to predict who the winner will be. Now, I had a different plan for going about trying to decide the winner, and that plan was to read all the books. Makes sense, but life got in the way, so I had to copy edit my own book in the past month or so, and then I started writing a new book, and yeah, that left little time for extra reading to be done, especially reading that I knew was going to require all my brain power. So I came up with a different idea. I actually work at a literary magazine called A Public Space. And early on when I started working there, my boss had me compile information about the Story Prize. Now, the Story Prize is a book award that is given to, I guess, the best short story collection of the year. So I went about collecting information for that. My boss wanted to know about all the past winners and a lot of information about those past winners, and I put that all in a spreadsheet and I sent it to her, and it was fun seeing like the patterns that arose. And I remembered that and I was like, maybe I could do that for this. And so I came up with this whole idea of how I could predict maybe the winner for the Booker Prize. So there's 3 different ways I'm going to be predicting a winner for the Booker Prize for this year. The first way is through a Google spreadsheet that I've put together that I've collected information about the winners for the past 20 years. The second way I'm going to try to predict a winner is that I'm going to read the beginning pages of all the winners for the last 10 years, try to get a feel for their writing style, writing type, the voice, and see if there's like a pattern that emerges that I can sense. And then I'm going to read the first chapters of all the nominees for this year. And then I'm going to try to pick a winner based off of all of that reading. And then the third and final way is, this is probably the most simple, but I'm just going to pick somebody that I would want to win just based off what I read in those first chapters of the nominees. So there could be up to 3 predictive winners in this video, but we'll see as we go along. But first, we're going to start with going through the spreadsheet. Okay, so here is the spreadsheet. Now, I feel like I could have gathered a lot more information, but like I said, I was under a time constraint, and I kind of wanted to keep the spreadsheet relatively simple because me and math is statistics, I'm not built for that. I'm built for reading. So I gathered information around age, birth date, nationality, and country of origin, if the book was a debut, the publisher, and if the author was nominated more than once. Now, starting with the birth year, I gathered that in the last 20 years or so, most of the winners were born either in the 60s or the 70s, with the 70s being the lead. So in the last 20 years, we had 1 person born in the 1930s, 3 people born in the 1940s, 4 people born in the 1950s, 5 people born in the 1960s, and 7 people born in the 1970s, and 1 person born in the 1980s. So looking at our nominees, we have 4 people born in the 70s and 2 in the 60s. So really, I don't know if it's that statistically relevant or if it really points to any winner, but I'll just say that if we are doing a process of elimination, our 2 people who are sitting this round out based off age is going to be Susan and Andrew Miller, and then we have Kieran, Katie, Ben, and David all being born in the 70s. And I'll also add that in the last 10 years, between 2015 and 2024, 3 people were born in the 60s and 5 in the 70s. So moving on, the next thing I looked at was publisher. And so when it came to publishers, what I noticed is that there were a few people who we saw a lot, and that's going to be Jonathan Cape, One World, both having 3 winners each. And then after that, it's going to be Shadow and Wandis, Picador, Hamish Hamilton, Bloomsbury, and Fourth Estate having 2 winners. And then we have Sort of Books, Vintage, Faber and Faber, Granta, and Atlantic having 1 winner. And so we'll see that Jonathan Cape, One World, is sitting at the top. And so if we look at our nominees, Susan and David are both under Jonathan Cape. And then we have Kieran, who's under Hamish and Hamilton, and Hamish and Hamilton was one of the ones that had 2 winners, Jonathan Cape being one that has 3 winners. Another interesting thing I noticed while going through all this information is that Skeptor, who is Andrew's publisher, has never won. And Fern Press, who is Katie Kitamura's publisher, this is their first time on the list. Now, there's also another thing I thought that was really interesting, which is that a lot of these publishers are under Penguin. So you have Chatto and Windus, Jonathan Cape, Fern Press, Hamish and Hamilton, and Vintage, all under Penguin Random House. So that's interesting. That's interesting in and of itself. And so if we look back at our nominees, Katie Kitamura is under Fern Press, which is under Penguin, so maybe that is good for her. If we're looking at this, Susan and David have a really good chance of winning. So if we jump over to nationality, we'll see that 6 winners are from England, 3 from Ireland, and 2 from the US, 2 also from India. Now, I believe the way the Booker Prize works is that there's a certain number of nominees that are going to be UK based and a certain number that are like outside of the UK. So we'll keep that in mind, I guess. But we'll see that, yes, overall, our biggest winners are coming from England, are coming from Ireland, and then the US and India. Now, if we look at our nominees, we'll see pretty much that everybody is from one of those 4 top places that winners are coming from in these last 20 years. So US, India, England. Yeah, if we're just going to look at who usually wins the most in these last 20 years, that's going to be everybody from England. So that's Ben, Andrew, and David. And then we have our other 2 fields, which is our if they are debut. Now, I didn't really pick up anything too much on a pattern here. We do have 2 people who won as a debut, and that's going to be the White Tiger, and then that's going to be Shiggy Bane. So if we look at our nominees, none of these people are debuts, but Kieran has won in 2006. So there is that, but there's no debuts here in our list. So I don't really know if that factors into anything, but we do have a previous winner. So that is interesting. And then in our list, the only person nominated more than once was Kieran. And obviously she was a winner. And so I don't know if this really plays any part, but you know, it's information that we have. Okay, now if we look through all of this information I gathered and we see who I've highlighted as hitting the mark on whatever data point I've gathered for, we can see who has the most data points hit. I don't know what I'm talking about, but you get what I mean. So looking at all our information, we'll go through each author. So for Susan, she only hit 1, and she has a publisher that has won the most. And for Kieran, she was born in the birth year that has the most winners in the past 20 years, and she has one of the publishers that has the most wins. For Katie, it's going to be birth year. For Ben, it's birth year and country. For Andrew, it's just country. And then for David, he was born in the 70s, which is our highest winning birth year. He was published by Jonathan Cape, which is our highest winning publisher. And he is from England, also Hungary, born in Canada. There's a lot going on with David. So he hits the mark there. And so that makes David our projected winner based on the statistics. Very shoddy statistics, but statistics nonetheless. So that would make Flesh by David S. our projected winner. With that being done, we now have to read the opening few pages for the last 10 years. And since there was 2 winners in 2019, being Bernadine Evaristo and Margaret Atwood, we'll actually have to read the openings of 11 books, but we can do it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started doing that. It's going to be a long couple of days because obviously I'm going to have to read this over the next few days. So let's go ahead and get started reading the opening pages of the last 11 winners of the Booker Prize. Okay, it is a few days later. Sorry, y'all, listen. I need you to know that I have so much to do right now. I have so much on my to-do list, you guys. Anyways, so I'm going to start reading all the first few pages of all the winners from, I think I said 2015 to 2024. I'm going to start at 2015 so that I get the last few winners closer to when I read the nominees, just so I can see the style of the last few years and maybe try to make an educated guess based on the style I see in the nominees. I'm just going to be reading the samples you can find on Amazon. So I'm starting with a brief history. What the heck? I'm starting with a brief history of 7 killings. I need to get to reading. It is already November 6th. I want to put this video up the day before the winner is announced. So I got work to do. Next is Sellout. Lincoln in the Bardo. Milkman. Testaments. Girl, woman, other. Shuggy Bane. The Promise. The 7 Moons of Molly Alameda. Prophet Song. Orbital. Okay, I just spent a good hour or two reading the beginnings of all of those winners from the last 10 years or so. I don't know if I can say if it told me much. I hope, you know, I hope there's like a subconscious thing that happens where I can like pick up some element that is similar between the winners and these nominees. I don't know yet, but some things, I guess some things that were just like interesting. I tried to take some notes. Some things that were interesting is that I think between like 2015, 16, so 2015, 16, 17, 18, and a little of 19 because there was 2 winners in 2019. All the winners were written in first point of view, if I, you know, read the books correctly. So that was interesting. And then from then on, excluding 2022, when we got our only second point of view, the rest were in third point of view. And listen, I'm saying this as somebody who's only read the like first 5 pages of these, so I don't know if any of these books like switch in the middle or there's like something else that happens and it like turns into another POV. So don't come for me. Here's my disclaimer. But I thought that was really interesting that like we're sort of in a trend of third point of view right now. There were I think about 3 or so like ghost stories, and you know, take ghost however you wanted to mean it, but people who were like dead were speaking, or there were like dead people involved in the plot or something of the nature. So I thought that was interesting that ghost stories like came up a few times, and I saw that in, I believe, 7 Moons of Molly Alameda, I don't even know if I'm saying that right, in Lincoln in the Bardo, and in A Brief History of 7 Killings. So yeah, that's kind of like what I was picking up. And then when it comes to writing style, I don't really know how to describe like writing style. I am not a book reviewer, but you know, I get a sense, and there was like a mixture of a more straightforward writing style and then some writing styles that were a little bit more stylized, descriptive, that had a lot more figurative language going on. But I feel like it was like a nice mix of all of those, I think. But anyways, I don't know if that told me much. We'll see. we'll see. The interesting things I found were like the point of view and the ghost stories. But tomorrow I'll start reading the first chapters of all the nominees, and yeah. So see you tomorrow. Girl, what the hell? What the hell? Okay, I am done reading through the nominees. I decided not to read the first chapter because I pretty much got a sense of them after reading just about the same amount of pages as I read of the winners. And this is very interesting. This is very interesting in that, do I really know? Do I really have a clue? I don't know. But these are my thoughts so far. So after reading through, and now I'm looking back through the notes I took on all the winners, I think there was only one book, and that being Audition, that had first person point of view. And I'll say personally, for me, Audition felt the weakest. Writing, not, I don't even want to say writing right, maybe story wise, how it started. For me, I like, this is what decided I didn't want to read the first chapter, because if they're all going to be like this, I'm about to torture myself for like hours. So that was part of the reason. Based off the opening, I wouldn't say that this one is too similar to the winners that I read, so I will put that in the no. When I read the winners, there were a few that had these like sort of speculative ghost story type elements, and I didn't really see that kind of storytelling in any of these books. These felt more straightforward, personal, introspective kind of narratives. For me, Flashlight was one of the ones that had more of, I want to say, an intricate style, more use of like figurative language, leaning in that direction of like poetic and lyrical, but not exactly. Now, The Land in Winter was very descriptive, and it kind of reminded me of reading Orbital when I was first reading that. A very like intense description on place and the people in a place. Now, for Flesh, I liked the storytelling style, but this one felt also like a writing style that didn't seem really similar to any of the winners that I read. This one was very, very bare, is what I'll say. This is like a very bare storytelling style, in the way that I think people, I don't know if I would necessarily compare it to Ernest Hemingway, but in the way that people say Ernest Hemingway can be bare or very straightforward, that is what Flesh is. When it comes to like my personal taste, this is probably what would be one of the ones that I would be putting forward. Now, Sonia and Sunny, I feel like could fit in among the type of like maybe storytelling style of past winners. One of the things I noticed about like the winners of the Booker Prize is that they're very like focused in on personal narrative, people and their lives, and like their histories. The loneliness of Sonia and Sunny could fit into that. The Rest of Our Lives is another one that it does have going into people's history, but not in the same way that the loneliness of Sonia and Sunny and the Land in Winter feel like they do. Flesh and The Rest of Our Lives are the ones that I liked reading the most. Below Flesh and The Rest of Our Lives would be The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny. I personally probably wouldn't pick up a book like Flashlight, but I did think the voice was intriguing, but it's just not a book that I would pick up personally. So with all that being said, I think for me, the books that, just like looking back through my notes on the winners and thinking about the winners, this is all like based off of what my subconscious has picked up and is connecting things to, but what feels like to me the most similar in vibe style to past winners would be Flashlight, The Rest of Our Lives potentially, and The Land in Winter. I think my thinking is that maybe it would be between these three. Now, something makes me want to say Flashlight could be the potential winner. From what I gathered, most people wouldn't pick Flashlight, but something about Flashlight seems like it could be a potential winner. Then I think The Land in Winter, maybe after that, could possibly be a winner. But again, if we like look at the statistics, the land and winter probably wouldn't be high up there. I don't know. I hate guessing. That's something about me. I hate guessing because I hate being wrong. So I always am like, maybe this or this. I always am trying to give myself the best chance of winning. But I think maybe Flashlight or the Land and Winter. Now, the fact that 1 year Margaret Atwood won with Bernadine Evaristo, that does make me want something about that does make me want to say The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny. Take that as you will. So at the end of this video, what am I saying? I say, based on statistics, I would say Flush. I say based on vibe, I would say Flashlight, and then The Land and Winter. And then my personal choice would be Flush. I liked reading Flush the most. It was the most intriguing for me to the beginning. It's the one I would immediately want to pick up right now. If I was to pick out of any of these books to start reading immediately, it would be Flush, followed by The Rest of Our Lives. I guess my official is between Flush and Flashlight. But I really do hate to put a stamp on it. We'll see when the results are announced on the 10th. Today is the 8th. I'll probably put this video up tomorrow, and then we'll find out together. We'll find out together. So when I do this video again, either for the Booker or for another upcoming award, I think I want to take more looks into the judges. That would be something I would add to this. I would want to take more time really thinking about structure, the structure of these books that they're using in the past winners. I want to take more time thinking about POV, if it's multi-POV, one point of view, which points of view. And maybe the next time I do this, I'll post the video after the winners are announced so that you can have my whole full reaction in one video. I don't know if that's the best thing to do. I don't know if it feels like cheating. People might feel like I went back and edit. I don't know. But let me know what you think. Definitely next time I'll plan this out further ahead so that I have time to actually read the books. So let me know in the comments below what you think I should look into if I were to do another video like this again, what I should add or what I should take out. But that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you for watching. I hope I'm right. I'll see you in the next one. Please like, comment, subscribe, yell at me in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye!